Hey everyone, this is Alex. Welcome to ThursdAI for October 23. Today we had an incredible show with two interviews, one with Paul Klein from BrowserBase, talk about the agent authentication innovations they did, and the other one is with Qwen Kramer about real-time voice avatars. And we also covered OpenAI's browser called Atlas and DeepSeek's OCR model that blew our minds. In the excitement about some of these topics, I did not notice that my microphone settings wasn't configured correctly, and so apologies for that. You may hear a little bit of an artifact there, and I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome everyone to ThursdAI for October 23rd. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with weights and biases and host of ThursdAI. And we have a very exciting week, very eye-opening week in terms of a lot of OCR getting released. DeepSeek came back with a new one. So we're going to chat about all of this. With that, I will also say hello to Nisten and hello to Jan. Welcome, friends. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, Nisten. You're looking fresh. We already noticed this on the previous live stream.
I've literally just been outside coding in the balcony because it was really warm in Canada this week, and it's winter is coming.
Winter is coming. Some banter for the favorite AI release of this week. We usually do this before the TLDR starts and to get like folks a chance to get into the show, say hi to us in comments. While we share ours, folks who are listening, feel free to share yours as well. Somebody already shared the Claude Code web is their favorite. Nisten, what is your favorite AI release this week?
I was going back and forth between what I liked, but then when I actually tried the DeepSeek OCR one, it not only does optical character recognition, it rebuilds it as HTML. So it looks at a chart and then it rebuilds the chart back up. So that's why this one became my favorite. I've also been trying the Claude web one. I have some opinions on that. It's so, but I think it's going to end up being a little bit better. I've been using it quite a bit too.
Nice. Obviously, folks love your opinions, and also we do. We try to give you listeners multiple opinions and not just like hype a release. Nisten is very good at that, so I really appreciate the outlook there. Jan, what is your must-have AI release for this week?
Both Claude Code Web and DeepSeek OCR are sick. Seriously. DeepSeek OCR, you all get the idea of it? Like you can convert loads of PDF only from the web into Markdown. That's a lot of tokens. That unlocks a lot of tokens.
Yep. I will share mine, then we'll jump into TLDR because a lot of topics this week to talk about. Obviously, browser from ChatGPT and potentially other browsers. For me, I realized why. We were on a live stream when ChatGPT Atlas, the browser that OpenAI launched this week, that's Chromium based, released. I then realized that I used to work on a browser. I spent 2 years working on a Chromium based browser back, I don't know, over a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago. And I have experience with browsers. As a front-end developer, participated in the first browser war. I followed every release for HTML5, CSS3, Edge, Internet Explorer, etc. So this hit home very hard for me. And this reminded me of the browser wars as well. It's really funny, actually, that my manager from back this time is now watching with us. Shout out to Ariel back when we were building browsers. And I posted about this. Building a browser is not easy. There's so many decisions. This was definitely my favorite one. I also ran the ChatGPT Atlas agent for 4 hours trying to complete a compliance training with the company, one of those compliance trainings you have to, and it did after 5 hours. And I was very, very impressed. Also annoying. So I definitely have a lot to say about this. We'll add LDJ super quick. LDJ, welcome, and we're gonna go and talk about the TLDR. This is it. This is the TLDR, the section on ThursdAI where we just tell you about all of the news together in a very short period without going into details so that you'll know, and then you'll know which generally the outline of our show, and you also know which segments to stick around for. So for today, your host is Alex Volkov, AI evangelist with some biases. We have Jan Peleg Nistenta here and LDJ here, and we're going to have a few other guests and friends. We're going to have Paul Klein from BrowserBase, and we're going to have Qwen Kramer, our friend, step in very, very soon to talk to us about some real-time stuff. As everybody here already told you, once we dive into open source LLMs, this is a few of the releases this week. We had a bunch of vision model releases in the tiny space, including one from yesterday from Qwen. But yeah, go ahead, LJ.
I guess I'll briefly at least summarize DeepSeek
Yeah.
OCR. So
just give us like a 1-2 sentence.
Yeah, so I guess the really short simplified version would be by looking at text more so as an image and compressing it as an image, you end up being able to more efficiently have the model use context and basically have visual tokens used that is able to more efficiently represent text and then have models be more efficiently able to run and as if they were running on less context.
Yep.
So Liquid AI LFM2 VL3B, this is a vision language model. Then we have POKI Research 7B, open source SOTA deep research agent. And then Qwen 3 VL 2B 32B. Is that 2B active parameters 32B total, or is that two different models?
No, it's two different models.
Different models.
And
Yeah, folks are saying that the 2B.
These are both dense, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing it now. Compact STEM-tuned multimodal powerhouses, outperforming GPT-5 Mini and Claude 4 Sonnet. That's big if true. If when people actually vibe test it, we'll see.
Yeah, maybe we'll wipe test it on the show. So I had this like some screenshot as well from somebody, Harvin Singh. He said a bunch of OCRs model released in the past few weeks. DeepSeek OCR, which we're going to talk about, released, but like the folks from Allen Institute released their OMO OCR second version. There's one called Chandra OCR, also new, around 8 billion parameters, and then also Dots OCR, like Nistan, you just mentioned this one. Obviously, the Qwen VL are general VLMs, but also do OCR. Paddle released one, and then there's just a bunch of like new releases in the space, and it looks like DeepSeek OCR just like for the win. So this is the one we're going to focus on, but like just so folks know, we're not going to cover all these, but also like a bunch of these are recent releases as well. We're going to talk about the movers and shakers of the AI world, the people who spend billions of dollars on infrastructure and invent and reinvent the world every week. We will obviously have a dedicated discussion for the newly announced Chromium-based ChatGPT Atlas browser. It's an agentic AI browser with deep ChatGPT integration. We're going to cover some of the feedback on the vibes, and I also used it as my primary one. Although right now I'm recording from Arc, cannot let Arc go no matter what, even though that one is a default for mine. We're going to cover some of the shortcomings, some of the stuff that it doesn't do well, some comparisons to the Comet browser, which supposedly after our live stream this Tuesday I got Yam excited about. So Yam maybe already used Comet from Perplexity and other AI browsers. And also Microsoft is now having an event right now for their Copilot sessions, whatever, and then they're going to bring actionable agentable browser into Edge as well. This probably in a few minutes. So we'll take a look at that, and then also like bring you the news that whether or not we got two agentic browsers this week, and Edge is huge. Edge may not take as much user thing as Chrome, but Edge is like one of the bigger browser install bases out there. So if they're adding an agentic system, like last week we talked about the whole of Windows 11 is adding agentic system, I think it's big. Claude Code on the web, folks. Claude Code, the if any, we can say Claude Code in the cloud. So every time we transcribe Claude Code, it says Cloud Code, but we can say Claude Code. This is what happened this week. You can now chat with this agent not only via your terminal, it can do background stuff for you. You can be on the toilet, which is a highlight of many people coding on the toilet. They have secure sandboxing in there as well. That's very exciting for many folks. Super quick, Meta bans 1-800-GPT on WhatsApp. Meta decided that on the WhatsApp platform, the only AI that's going to be there is Meta's AI. So they are kicking ChatGPT out. If you're using that, move to the app. Again, like I said, Microsoft is about to announce something generic, agentic. And our friend from Google AI Studio launched a new vibe coding. Did you guys see this? Logan launched a new vibe coding platform, and it's pretty good. I actually liked it. We can live, code sounding live. It's pretty dope. In this week's Buzz, we have I think we have two updates for you. One of them is fully connected. The conference that we have is coming to Tokyo on October 30th and London November 4th and 5th. If you're a listener from Europe or from Japan or Southeast Asia, those two conferences are definitely for you. We participated in the release together with the PyTorch library and Stanford called Torch Forge, and we'll briefly cover that as well in a few sentences. Basically, a new supervised fine-tuning library from the folks at PyTorch, which is supposedly a big deal. Vision and video was also hot this week, including a breaking news release from today. Just an update, Sora is about to get pet cameos, so expect Sora to blow up. The folks, Bill Peebles from Sora, came out with the news and said, we're approving Sora. For now, you're only able to add cameos of yourself. From very soon, you're going to be able to take your pet and create a cameo for it, take a coffee cup, create a cameo for it. So you'll be able to add character consistency not only to your face. I think it's a big deal. We'll see how viral that becomes because people will do all kinds of characters. The Halloween skeleton that I did last year, for example, could be a talking skeleton cameo that everybody could use. So we'll see a new social dynamic there. Our friends from Crea released open source 14 billion parameter real-time video model, fine-tuned on top of WAN to 14B. Distilled from WAN. That's pretty cool. Rev, do you guys remember Rev, the image editing A+ model from Christian Contrell and some other folks? Rev announced sorry, Rev didn't announce, but they have a video model in there. And I looked and nobody of the people, including their main account, didn't talk about this. And also, I haven't seen anybody post about this, but yeah, they have a video model in there. It looks pretty good. It even has sound. And speaking of sound, it looks like most of the video models for the past, I don't know, 3 months are adding sound as well. And we have a breaking news today from LTX, the Israel company, Tricks. Their model is called LTX. They just open sourced a 4K audio and video generation engine. I believe it's open source. This is called LTX 2. And they're claiming it's live, also real time, nearly real time. So that's crazy. 4K, nearly real time. That's crazy with synchronized audio and video and lip sync. Hybrid diffusion transformer stack. So like incredible. I think I have some friends in the LTX world. Yeah, maybe you know some folks as well. We should absolutely bring them because they've been killing this. Another company that's been killing this, also Israeli company, is Decar.AI. They released a new lip sync API, but it's real time. So we've seen other companies like Sync and others just basically take a video that or a character and then you provide audio and then they kind of like modulate the lips to look like the person is talking according to the audio. LTX released this in real-time API, so that is very impressive that it's real-time. It works for characters that you want to talk to. If Wolfram were here, he would mention Amy and how this would work with Amy, for example, similar to how Annie works in Grok. So we're definitely going to cover this a little bit. This is the TLDR for this week. I think there's plenty for us here to talk about, folks. It's time for our favorite corner. Let's go to Open Source AI. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. And I will just say, I just saw Mustafa Suleiman from MAI, the rebranded Inflection AI team within Microsoft that Mustafa runs. It's called Microsoft AI. They rebranded to MAI. Just say T-minus 10 minutes for the Microsoft Copilot. We may just tune in, folks. What do you think? Like, why not? If it's as big, 2 browsers, live streams, two agentic browsers this week. So we may just tune in. It's going to happen in a few minutes. But meanwhile, we're going to start with open source. And I think let's dive right in. The most important and interesting release this week from open source is DeepSeek OCR. DeepSeek, the Chinese whale, the folks that don't hype anything, that just release great releases one after another, the folks that gave us GRPO together with R1, that turned out that R1 itself was less consequential than the GRPO that everybody now uses. Pretty much single-handedly returned the RL world back, or DeepSeek. We talked about DeepSeek every week they release something. This week they released a tiny OCR MOE. A tiny OCR MOE. This is like a very, very tiny model. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 500 million parameters active only. It's all right, folks. You all looked at this. You all mentioned this. What's special there? Yam, let's start with you, LDJ, and following up with you. What is special about this like tiny model, and why DeepSeek innovates continuously?
It's insanely powerful and it's small and fast. It is That's the TLDR. It's really, really good, and it's really, really fast and small. Therefore, you can run it at scale on whatever you want to generate tokens. It's OCR. You can just feed, I don't know, screenshots of stuff, like screenshots of code, screenshots of stuff written, newspapers, books, PDFs, whatever you want. It is the most powerful for its size that we ever seen. People have been doing wild stuff with it already, even though it was released a couple of days ago. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I want to hear about this like compression thing that they have going on there.
Yeah, so I didn't get to fully read the paper, but from what I understand, you're essentially taking text tokens, representing it as images, then compressing that in the way that you would usually create visual tokens out of images, a lot of image processing models. And then doing that ends up being able to actually compress it in a way that's more accurate and basically better compression ratios than what you'd normally get with just tokenization methods of text in a raw way.
I have some notes on this where I read for some folks. The compression thing is insane. The compression thing is insane. Like turning text that they see into vision coders, but then be able to like decompress it back with like high accuracy. But like even at like less than 10x compression, OCR decoding accuracy is 97%. What? Bro, this is like the Silicon Valley middle out algorithm.
It's wild because if you just it's not intuitive at all that it's even possible to do something like this. The compression is like, why would it taking a screenshot of code is better than just
reading the code?
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that just got people so surprised by this model.
You know what happened on Thursday? I prepared the notes, and oftentimes there's other releases that dive deep. We only have so much time to dive deep into stuff, so I don't deep into it, etc. And then we come here and we talk about this, and then my head explodes live on the thing. This makes no sense as I read this. Like this is one of those WTF made.
Look, I don't know if it makes no sense. It basically just points to probably the way we tokenize text is not optimal. Yeah. That's probably what it just points to, that there is a better way to represent text. Okay, look, everyone is suspecting that the way we tokenize text is kind of backwards today. There must be a better way, but it is what it is. It is the way it works. We just do it because it works best. But I don't know. That's wild.
Oh, no. I was trying to run it. That's why I was...
see. I think there's a few Hugging Space things that already run this. We can take a look. Here's the note that I have that I took, lifted of someone, obviously. You could visually encode 1 million tokens into a 100K vision token sequence. So that, like for long context models, this is a text compression mechanism that supposedly shoves 10x more context into the same context window. What the fuck? LDJ, go ahead.
I think so. Some limitations I think that are worth noting is, so when they say 97% precision or accuracy here, based off what I was able to see in the paper, they don't show traditional language model benchmarks, but they show compression just in terms of basically how accurate is it in actually being able to decode or actually truly see the original text. And that what they say as 97% precision here in the compression itself, when it comes to benchmarks, that might result in more than a 3% drop. That might result in more like only 90% or 80% accuracy in benchmarks, but we don't really know, so we'll have to see that. And also the model that they do it in here is quite small. It's like only roughly around 1B size, 1 billion parameters. And so we'll also have to see how this scales up. But I do think it's really interesting so far. And they say 97% compression accuracy with 10x compression. And I think, like, conservatively speaking, like hopefully they can get at least 2 or 3x compression with basically 99 or 99.5% accuracy or something. And in that case, like, it would be really good. And because of the quadratic scaling of flops with context, it would lead to more than 3x savings of flops. So you might get 5 or 10x savings in flops or more when you're doing really long context inference.
So I just want to make sure that we're like highlighting the right thing here. This is not just a model to take text and do optical character recognition. this is way more than this. They're preparing for, and specifically highlighting the amount of training data this can generate synthetically from
Right.
PDFs, etc.
They want all the tokens.
All the time.
Performance-wise, I don't know if we said it, you can process like 200,000 pages a day on a single GPU with these things. I mean, these are the numbers. Like single GPU, 200,000 pages. That's pretty crazy. Another thing that's worth mentioning, which had been coming to us through the comments, that's absolutely true. What they do, I mean, basically because they feed images into the model, you have a part of the model which is not causal, which is not predict the next token, but is fully connected attention, which is something that we haven't kind of moved away from at this moment. There are people suspecting online that this might be the boost in performance, quote unquote, but the unexplained thing that pushes this model beyond what we all anticipated. Anyway, it's extremely interesting and pretty, I don't know. I'm grateful that we even got this release. I'm not sure that everybody else would release something like this because of what you can do with this. Everybody online is going to just run it at scale now for good reason.
I saw librarians get excited. I saw somebody scanning sheets of microfascia. Do you guys know what the microfascia is? That library stores actual screenshots of like papers or whatever in like very, very, very tiny compressed microfilm type things. So they scan all of this with precision with this model. Shout out to DeepSeek for open sourcing this. At some point, DeepSeek is going to release something that's again going to change the world. And these small releases on the way there from the 3.1 terminus and some other things, they just like lead us there. So we're waiting for DeepSeek as well, but shout out for this release. I think it's Apache 2 as well, tiny model you can run on anything. Incredible. LDJ, go ahead. You're still muted.
Go ahead, Nistan.
There's still some issues with the inference engines, and a lot of the spaces were not working. I don't know if Llama CDP supports it properly. So that's why I've kind of been waiting, because some worked and some didn't quite work correctly. But this probably was like an internal tool or something where they do take in all the training data that they made, because in that sense, if you have to scan trillions, it makes a lot of sense to make a tiny model, because then it might take you 10 years if you just run a whole cluster, if you did large, right? So you do want to get the fastest, most accurate, smallest possible thing. But yeah, it will be very interesting once they apply this to the bigger models. It's pretty exciting for me, because now if you want to do computer use, before you had to parse it or you had to dump the document object model off the site, but now it's a lot faster to just take a picture, which is unexpected. It's also 10 times more compressed. So all that input data, which you have to do before making a decision on an action on any agentic thing that you build, now can just be an image. That's pretty nice. That just became 10 times faster. Well, if you count the small, tiny size, given what it can do, it's almost like we got a few 100x improvement in speed, in capability, because before you had to run full 8 GPUs and it'd be a lot slower too.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Open source is only one of the corners here, and we have to talk about others. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it is worth giving an honorable mention to Zifu.AI, the creators of GLM, since literally the day before the DeepSeek OCR paper released, they released a very similar paper basically doing the same thing and it's achieving also pretty good compression ratios. And that paper is called Glyph, if anybody is curious. Glyph, scaling context windows via visual text compression.
All right. Thank you, LDJ. Thank you, folks. In the other open source releases this week, we have a Liquid Foundation Model VL, 3 billion parameters. We talked about Liquid AI multiple times here. We even had some folks from them on to talk about different releases and what the difference is. And Liquid releases a VL version that supposedly beats other small VL versions, but this is only true to like Tuesday, because even to like yesterday, Qwen released a version of their VL model that's probably beating this. But they have average score here for multiple multimodal benchmarks: MM Blink, Bench, OCR Bench, Open, Real World QA. And they claim SOTA this week with their LFM 3 billion parameters, ultra compact vision language model. Unlike the OCR one, this is like a generative agent vision model, 11 language multimodal, multilingual performance, and strong performance on multimodal tasks. LFM2 delivers 51% on MM if eval and 71% of real world QA, which is both multimodal benchmarks. I'm going to say 3 billion parameters, smaller than most competitive VLMs. This is only true because this happened this week, but we can skip forward to the Qwen stuff because I think the Qwen stuff is kind of in this category is also more interesting. They compare themselves to the previous Qwen VL, Qwen 2.5 VL. We now have a tiny Qwen 3 VL. Then we have POKI Research releasing a state-of-the-art, well, compared to other open source deep research agent. It's fairly impressive. The HLE results that they have here for like around 15%, or like it's really hard to count here, but like I think around 15 to 17% on humanities last exam from POKI Research. Is a 7 billion parameter open source state-of-the-art deep research on par with or ahead of closed models the same size. Shout out to POKI. I don't believe we covered any models from POKI so far, so shout out to them for this release. They have a multi-threaded reasoning scaffold and the combined RLAF, or reinforcement learning with AI feedback, which is a technique we discussed on the show previously. Let's see what else we can talk to you about this. OpenSORA, robust reasoning scaffold, recovery verification, automatically reruns and corrects failed tool calls and performs self-verification loops, reducing error cascades and boosting final answer reliability. So this is like a model that also does a harness type model-y stuff. Interesting. And now let's get to the breaking news from yesterday. Our friends from Alibaba Qwen, Tongyi Lab, released 2 new models. Nistan would love to hear from you about this because like this is the small one is crazy. Absolutely. Qwen 3VL 2 billion parameter and Qwen 3VL 32 billion parameter. Folks, I was confused this week because I looked at this news and I didn't look at the release sizes. And I was like, didn't we already talk about Qwen VL last week? Is this really new? Sometimes what happens is we cover things so early that people only get to the things we cover after we cover. So I almost skipped this release entirely. What's new? These are new sizes. These are new sizes for these models. So you want to cover some of the releases here? I saw like multiple folks react to the 2 billion parameter one, that it's kind of like crazy.
Yeah, why people are excited about this is that Qwen usually is pretty accurate with their benchmarks, and they put a lot of benchmarks. Some of them do seem optimistic, but usually they are pretty right on. The reason that people got excited is because they have a track record of putting correct benchmarks when it compares this well with the Sonnet 4, which can have some issues with OCR. And we're not comparing Sonnet 4.5, but that's fine. When you start to get something that's very, very good or comparable to Sonnet 4 and that you can run on your phone and it's performing that well, that's pretty exciting. The Qwen models are really easy to work with. I mean, most tutorials and stuff that you're going to see in Google Colabs are with Qwen models. Part of the reason why people are excited about this is because they can modify them to do what you want. You can train these models pretty easily too. But they also have crazy performance to boot. The 2B model, which you should be able to run on less than 2 gigs of RAM, this is now something you can run even on a 4 or 5-year-old iPhone, and you are getting a performance comparable to GPT-5 Mini. So it's like putting the image on GPT-5, and it will recognize it pretty quickly. And I tried it. I gave it some hard tasks, like the terminal and things, and the 2B was still hallucinating because it would try to interpret stuff as to what it meant, but it did almost get all of it. When I asked it to repeat verbatim what it said, it did actually do that. So that was a good experience for me. Now, the more exciting thing, which nobody has really tried, and we're probably going to post about this week, is that these can do video. And video is very expensive to process. So this is why you need as small as possible and as high quality of a model to be able to actually input video properly, or for it to just like look at you throughout the day and kind of figure out what's going on. Before, you couldn't really do this unless you just like bought the API from Google, but now you can. And this is something that we haven't tried, and we don't know how well it works, but it'll probably be good.
Yeah, they have a bunch of video benchmarks like MVBench, and it looks like even the 4B model is like comparable to some of the other ones. But absolutely, if you look at this chart, They are showing in red the state of the art on this benchmark. And Qwen VL32B instruct, the 32 billion parameter one, that you can also run. Most M4 Max or M3 Max can run the 32B one for sure. They have most of the benchmarks beating Claude Sonnet for GPT-5 Mini, not to mention the previous 72 billion parameter Qwen 2.5 VL. Right, so we're always seeing these step function jumps with Qwen, where the previous bigger model is outperformed with a newer model while also getting half of the parameters in place. We're getting a significant jump in most benches besides maybe OCR bench, which surprisingly the Qwen 3 VL 8 billion parameters is a little better. Everything else is absolutely crushing, including the video stuff. One comment about video super quick before we move on. Do you guys know that ChatGPT can watch video? Do you guys know this? No? I posted about this.
Natively?
Bro!
Since when?
I found somebody that saw that there's only one way to get it done. You cannot upload the videos. MP4 is locked. Folks, we're a little bit out of the open source now. We're moving towards some exciting stuff. Basically, there's a trick that I'll tell you about this trick later of how to get native ChatGPT understanding of video. It's a trick that they don't want you to know, but we know.
Are you sure it's
Bro, 100% sure that's native. 100%. And I know
Okay.
how. I'll tell you how. Because I used the same video on Google Gemini and I used it on Grok. And Grok is supposedly multimodal native, but it's not really, just like watches frames. I want to highlight why it's multimodal. There's a video of my son learning phonics with an iOS app, and the way he learns, like he watches an iPad video that explains to him how to read and he spells it out. ChatGPT knew he didn't spell it correctly. Like ChatGPT listened to the audio and understood he's not spelling this correctly. You cannot do this with frames. And instead, we just talked about Qwen VL, for example, the video processing. I don't think that they have a multimodal video processing, for example. I don't think that Qwen VL listens to the audio in the video. Like I'm pretty sure it's all frames. Correct me, please, if I'm wrong. But like I don't know. Like they have the Omni model that's like Omni, but like the Qwen VL model doesn't process like sound into it. You guys remember we talked about multimodal things? I was like, wait a second. There's only one way to do this, as far as I know. You can share into the ChatGPT app via the iOS share feature, but you cannot select a video from the dropdown because they restrict it to images. But apparently, if you send the video to yourself on WhatsApp and then share this video from outside of WhatsApp, ChatGPT shows up at the shareable location apps.
That's new. It wasn't there before.
So
sure.
now
That's
you can
really
send
new.
you can send a video from WhatsApp into ChatGPT. ChatGPT will understand the video fully natively. I really needed this a couple of times. I didn't know how. I sent the same video to Gemini, which we know Gemini is multimodal, and like Gemini did not do as good a job as this. So I'm very, very excited about this. LDJ, go ahead.
Yeah, quick clarification on Qwen. Qwen 3 Omni 30B A3B. It can do
Omni
audio
does.
input.
Yeah, Omni does audio input, and
yeah.
also I believe video input, but I'm not sure that the video input includes audio. If you understand what I'm saying.
I see what you mean. I'm not sure either.
You want to record the
Absolutely.
video? You want to record the video of us and share it to ChatGPT? Yam, what are you showing us? That it works? Yam confirmation.
You
that
are
ChatGPT
right. You are right. But again, you can't just share from the iPhone. You have to, exactly like you said, you need to send the video yourself, then go click on it and select in the WhatsApp selection and then share. And only there you can see ChatGPT. Let's see if I have it on the web, if I actually have a video player.
Probably on the web. Yeah, so native.
We know that they absolutely have a native video input to ChatGPT because advanced voice mode work natively with the video. Yeah, you heard it first. I heard it first time here. Go try it. It actually works.
And it's pretty cool. It really is like actual multimodal understanding of video. All right, so going back to the browser wars, etc., like something very, very exciting to me.
Well, I can also confirm Qwen 3VL does not do audio in, only the model one. I just tested that.
Yeah.
Doesn't do audio.
All right, folks, we have to move on to other news. We got some news from Microsoft AI and their releases. I didn't see anything like super, super exciting there. Not that I expected, but yeah, let's take a look. Mustafa Suleimani posted. Where's this? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, Microsoft Edge. So before we get to the actual Atlas point of the story, Microsoft announced Copilot mode for the Edge that turns Edge into AI agentic browser. Edge can now navigate pages for you with actions, manage tabs, and access browser history. This is not new for us, but it's very interesting to see this coming to one of the bigger browser in the browser wars. Copilot, I think, is still powered by GPT-5, I believe. I don't use Copilot, to be very honest with you. Like, I try it when new things come out, but like I stick to ChatGPT. And we have a very flashy video that's not super interesting. But basically, they have a Copilot like browse and click things, which is now the state of the art in browsers. And the only one that doesn't do this is Chrome. So shout out to Copilot. They also have right now. Should we try it? Can we try it? Oh, okay. Microsoft Windows, Edge, and Mac. Folks, we're going to try this live on real time. Do you guys have... We're going to try to download Edge. We will download Edge. We're going to download one browser, agentic browser, from another agentic browser. So this is Copilot mode in Edge. Once we get there, we will try it. But for now, I think the more bigger release, I think it's bigger. ChatGPT Atlas release. We already had a 2-hour stream this week. So for those of you who are coming back, this may be something repetitive, but we've used this browser so far as well. This week, OpenAI stepped into the browser war. After 2 weeks ago, stepping into, this is the Copilot fall release. Before, again, ChatGPT Atlas, Copilot mode in Edge. They have a new clippy thing called Miko. This is the new assistant. They have memory built in there, which is pretty cool. And proactive actions. Oh, this is, I'm interested about what is proactive actions. And then some other stuff. And connectors. Maybe we should cover this like fully at some point. I don't know, like who uses Edge. Maybe we can use Edge now that we download it and try it.
Remember 2 years ago when a lot of us were using Edge and I kept posting stuff how I would open 3 different side panels on it, and I would have, I forgot what model I would have on one side.
GPT, this is the model you would have. Like at some point, Edge was the only place to get GPT-4 before it was released. GPT-4 with Vision, for example.
Bing was a good Bing.
It was a good Bing.
I used Bing a lot. It's funny to think about it today, but I used Bing a lot. That was the only one with internet access. Absolutely, yeah.
That was before they hired Mustafa, and then nobody used it anymore. It's still there, but yeah, it's kind of interesting because we all thought they were going to dominate at that point. It was the only thing that was actually aware of what set you were on too.
I'm installing Bing right now, and it asks me for my permission.
I'm not. So many different things are called Copilot at the moment, so I'm not entirely sure what exactly is. Like you're saying, it added to Copilot, and then it added to Edge and native on Windows. And you have the IDE plugin called Copilot and the agent called Copilot, GitHub Copilot, and you have the chat completion in the code called Copilot. So many things are just called Copilot, and getting pretty good. Oh, there is a Windows native chat client called Copilot. And I don't know, kind of feels like anything that is branded Copilot is like trying to strap AI onto a different thing.
I have tested the new Copilot in Edge, Copilot chat mode in Edge, extensively during this live stream and after. And I've reached out to multiple folks on X in Amazon, and I wasn't able to get it to behave in an agentic way. So I'm just going to spare you. On the live stream, there was like 7 minutes of me trying and we didn't get anywhere. I tried afterwards, didn't get anywhere also. If you are able to run the Copilot Edge in agentic mode and have it click buttons, please let me know how to do so in comments. Thank you. But for now, we'll skip to Atlas. But let's talk about Atlas. ChatGPT released a new browser this week also. This is the first step of ChatGPT into the browser wars. This is the new tab, and you can ask it to do some stuff. And there's a draft ThursdAI news recap feature that I already used. There's a bunch of other things. It's ChatGPT in the browser. It's not just Chromium fork with ChatGPT slapped on. It really is a deep native integration with your profile on the top right, which is your ChatGPT profile. One thing I've noticed that we didn't notice during the live stream, folks, there's this like accent color thing. And now this is the accent color of my ChatGPT. So if I do this like purple and I go to ChatGPT, ChatGPT is going to be purple. The iOS app is going to be purple. Everything's going to be purple. And you can change it back to like yellow, whatever. So now this is like the accent color for all of your ChatGPT. Another way to customize. Not that it matters. Also, the folks were complaining online that this is just a Chromium fork. No. this is a completely different menu than even Edge. If you guys see this with the zoom and whatever, this is the standard Chromium menu. New tab, new window, blah, 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 favorites, like the drop downs and more settings. This is the standard menu. So if you see like a blank like Chromium fork, you'll see the same menu everywhere. New tab, new private tab, then zoom. Like, yeah, I remember the browser we built had exactly the same menu. ChatGPT rebuilt the menu with Swift UI native, and the settings panel is completely new. This thing in the settings panel, we talked about this, folks. They added a virality feature within ChatGPT Atlas that shows when you joined OpenAI as an account, not ChatGPT specifically, even though it says ChatGPT, because most people joined OpenAI via ChatGPT. I joined 1,824 days ago, 1,824 days ago, 1,824 days in years is 4.99 years, almost 5 years ago. So I joined in June 2020. If any of our listeners joined before me, definitely post your score as well. Atlas is, I think, the only way right now to know when you actually joined OpenAI. What does Atlas do? Besides having ChatGPT fully integrated into Atlas, which is you get the whole ChatGPT sidebar in here on every place. So the new chat search, your library of images, custom projects, your chats, everything is here. Besides this, you have context for every new tab with the new site, the Ask GPT feature. One thing that I didn't know during the live stream is that command dot opens up the site pane. So you can shortcut it. Command dot. And it's really, really useful. And there's no way in any of the browser, any of the settings that I looked to actually know this. The only way I knew this is a thread from one of the folks on ChatGPT Atlas that said, hey, we need to build up a page, but for now, like, this opens the site pane. But again, you have this Ask ChatGPT mode on the side, and it has context access to the current tab. Only one tab, by the way, again, comparing it to, for example, Comet or even Dia from the browser company. ChatGPT for now only has access to one tab, and you cannot give it context for other tabs. It's annoying as heck, and it's really messing with my ability to do cross multi-page research, which I do often for you guys here on ThursdAI. What else do we have in ChatGPT Atlas that's super, super cool? We have summarize feature. And yes, we have the agent mode. I think the agent mode is the number one important thing besides the features. There's a bunch of features. It has this cursory thing where you type something in any type of typable thing. Once you select it, you have this little ChatGPT thing. A ChatGPT bubble pops up and you can do ChatGPT action on the selected text, which is I haven't seen this in any other browser. It's novel. I've seen this in Chrome extensions. And here's an example. I typed in complete bullshit, SDF, 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 blah, 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 and I told it, hey, clean this up. ChatGPT made a poem out of all of this bullshit. It's really funny. So, and then you can use this to replace the text, for example. It's really funny because Google Docs also has a feature to do this natively. So you can have AI on top of AI. But this, I think they call this cursor bubble, whatever, if you guys remember exactly what it's called. This is another feature of ChatGPT that I haven't seen anywhere else. However, I think the most important feature of ChatGPT, while we add Qwen here, our friend Qwen, what's up, Qwen? We're going to get to talk about some stuff very, very soon. The other exciting feature is the agent mode. Agent mode is the agentic ability of ChatGPT to go and do stuff on your behalf. And as far as if you guys remember Operator in ChatGPT native interface that became ChatGPT agent, this is now built into the browser with the main difference that agent has access to the web pages that you have access to, and blocking it is now impossible. So for example, if ChatGPT agent would use a a secure environment, and then you log into that secure environment, Chrome can block access to those actions. Now ChatGPT is running within your browser. This is your browser. You're logged into stuff that you're logged in. It has a security feature that shows that you can run this agent with login sessions or without. So basically give it an incognito mode. I had this yesterday. I had this mode and I almost live streamed it. Do a compliance training for me. And for the 5 hours that I tried, it completed the compliance training. The compliance training is hard, specifically that platform called Easy Llama. It has not only hey, watch a video, here's a few questions. It has questions in different formats. It has quizzes. It has multiple visual things that you need to complete. It has drag and drop interfaces where drag this flat scenario to the thing. And it has a bunch of stuff like this. And ChatGPT, after 5 hours, 5 or something, after 3 stops, that I had to tell it to continue, and it said, I am continuing. And I told it, no, you're not, because I can see that you're not doing this. After a few gaslighting moments, it did complete. I had to restart the chat for once, but I was very, very impressed because this is stumbling through this, pressing buttons, not listening to the audio, because a lot of it is watching a video and listening to the audio that they're saying. So ChatGPT agent cannot do this yet. It still was able to complete a compliance training for me, which I need to now take again, because obviously I'm not compliant if I use an agent to finish this for me. But I was very, very impressed. So the agent mode is something. It needs supervision still. It is dangerous because of injection problems, but it is absolutely something. Folks, have you tried the Atlas browser? Will you be trying the Atlas browser? What are your thoughts? What are your uh, general reaction to the world of
people on Windows and Linux would like to have a chance as well. I'm just saying that if anybody listens and can influence this, there are many of your users are eagerly waiting to try this as
ChatGPT
well.
Atlas was released only to macOS. It's a research preview, and they're working on other platforms. There's no iOS equivalent, no Android, definitely no Windows, and no Linux. Who here did try it? Probably not listening.
I tried to try it.
Tell us. Security is your concern?
Yeah. Also, I don't really need it because any other agentic thing I do with Claude or GLM, it just fires up Chromium -- headless. It grabs a DOM, it takes pictures, has full control of Linux already. So I don't. There's nothing I can do that I can't already do. But OpenAI does make a nicer interface. I mean, I've tried to build a browser before too, and the Chrome build takes like 90 gigs of space on your thing to do like a modern Chromium compile, and that's just hard drive space. It can take like 2 hours even on an M2 Ultra. So to make a good browser, it's actually pretty hard. And I do think OpenAI have done a pretty good job rebuilding Chromium in that sense. So I did want to test all of that.
I just want to say on this topic, anyone listening, that I tried this week the Chrome Web Dev MCP, and it surprisingly is able to control whatever you want in the browser. I thought it's just going to be a bunch of tools to monitor websites or to check for, I don't know, test some performance, but no, it can absolutely control the entire browser. It's really powerful. You just install it in Claude Code, Codex, whatever client that you run, and that's it. It can control Google Chrome on the same computer. You see the browser in front of your eyes doing whatever, clicking stuff and doing stuff. That's a good alternative. That's what I'm using at the moment. Would love to try the other options.
Wait, I didn't know this was out. This was out a month ago.
Look, it's out a month ago, and I thought, just like you, okay, it's a nice tool for benchmarking websites and so on. It's not going to control the entire browser, but
is this what
I used it to read archive papers. Seriously, I just went to chat with Claude Code and told it to go search for the paper, and it went, and I saw the browser open, and it went to find the paper I'm talking about, and it was really, really cool. It's really cool. It's one command just to install, like MCP add Google Chrome web dev, whatever the MCP is named, and that's it.
So I will try to bring back the discussion into Atlas. I will just say, though, we should talk about the alternative ways of controlling the internet. We're going to chat with Paul Klein in a moment to talk about BrowserBase and the director and some other things that they released. MCP is another way to install. All of these have risks, different levels of risks. One of the things that we know about the agentic browsers is that if browsers have malicious instructions in them and the model is not sufficiently trained to detect malicious instructions, I think Brave, also a browser, not agentic, but also AI browser, released a security research into multiple browsers just failing context injection attacks. Simon Wilson has an outline 3 years ago, content injection as a thing for agentic browsing features. And we had this week the CISO, the chief security officer from ChatGPT, information security officer, Dane, he talked at length about their new security measures in the browser. This is like the most transparent the company has been about mitigating this type of attack. Very, very cool. I definitely recommend folks add this to the show notes. Here's some of the stuff that they are doing for this prevention. They're saying, we prioritize rapid response systems to help you quickly identify block attacks campaigns as we become aware of them. This is very, very important because ChatGPT is also a ecosystem. And now if they detect multiple attacks in the browser, they can block it for every other user, whereas, Chromium, for example, can't. They invest in security teams, research to improve robustness of the models, design Atlas to give you controls to help protect yourself. This is one of the main features that I want to make you guys aware in Atlas as well. Atlas has the agent mode. Once you run agent mode, it gives you this option. Let me zoom in here. It gives you the option to stay logged in. ChatGPT works alongside you using your logged in account. So if you're logged into X or Gmail or whatever, it will have access to the same cookies. Or they will basically give your incognito browser experience to the agent logged out. So like if you want to do some research, but you don't want it to be there, it will browse with you logged out. So this is one of the features that they have. They said when agent is operating on sensitive sites, we have also implemented a quote watch mode that alerts you to the sensitive nature of the site and requires you to have the tab active to watch the agent do its work. The cool thing about agents is that you can run something in a background tab and it will do things for you and you don't have to watch it. So this is what I did. Now, with all this said, hopefully this will come live. The browser security implications are very interesting. And as Yam said, there's a few ways to control browser. ChatGPT is controlling the browser on my system, but there's also other agents and other things. Maybe you want Claude to use its OS world score of like 67 that Sonnet was released with, and many of them are using tools, and one of those tools is BrowserBase, and we have the BrowserBase guy Paul with us. What's up, Paul Klein? How are you
What's
doing?
up? Hey, on my way to the browser right now. Super exciting week in the world of browsers. Happy to chat about it.
Yes, you guys launched something also today, and the thing that I wanted to call you for is because I think that you guys innovated something that I was very, very excited about. The integration with 1Password and authentication on my behalf as a user control thing. I have never seen this before. I'm a user of 1Password for the last, I think, maybe 15 years, and I use it to log in as me. And I was always saying that, hey, if I have an agent, it should either have access to the tools that I'm logged in as, or it should ask me access to my password in a secure way without like me giving away the password. So I saw you guys implement this. Would love for you to talk about what you guys launched this week and this integration both, and how you guys see authentication for agents in the browser world.
Yeah, exactly. We think about browser automation in two ways. There's browser in chat or chat in the browser, right? And I think with Atlas and Comet and Dia, you're seeing a lot more of the chat in the browser, where someone's giving you a browser and you're chatting with AI. Now, we kind of tend to see this more with traditional AI agents where you have a browser and a chat, where you're having your AI agent chatting with it within a website or some SaaS, and you're now it's deploying or talking to a browser running in the background in the cloud or something like that. And regardless of both of these things, you need to let your AI authenticate as you. When you're offering someone a local browser experience, it's much easier, right? Because it's running on your computer, it's next to you, and you're able to kind of use the same IP address as the person and keep things a little bit more safer there. But what happens there in the kind of browser and chat experiences is that there's no background browsing. As soon as you close the laptop, all of a sudden your workflows stop. And we've seen more of these kind of AI browser companies start to offer some ideas of background browsing, but then you run into what you need, which is the delegated authentication. And at BrowserBase, we think a lot about cloud browsing, background browsing, and really background browsing powers a lot of this browser in chat type of experience that I talked about earlier. And what our partnership with 1Password was, hey, you have your 1Password setup, which is a vault running on your local machine. And your browser locally can talk to it, right? You never want your passwords to be stored in the cloud. But how do you enable a cloud browser to access your password securely? And with 1Password, what we did was we found a way that we could have a vault running in the cloud environment, a vault running locally, and using the extension establishes connection from the cloud browser to your local vault and can request access to it. So when you use a cloud browser with one base, you're able to say, your agent can say, hey, give me access to this credential, pop on your screen on your local machine saying your browser wants access to this credential. It's almost like the cloud browser is reaching into your local device, asking for permission to the password, using it in the cloud browser, and then proceeding forward. This is a cool paradigm because it means that if you have access to 1Password on your phone or on your laptop or your desktop, wherever your AI agent is, it will be able to request access to your resources. And it's a paradigm that's a lot more flexible. If your AI agent only has access to one machine, it's very limited to that machine. But if your AI agent can access the services and tools you have on all of your machines, it might get a lot more done.
Yeah. So I have to say that as a long time user of 1Password, I was delighted to see this. It requires the nightly install of the 1Password currently. It's not baked into the main release yet. The fact of the matter is, the agent that I run on my behalf somewhere in the background has access to the exact same password that I needed to get access to, and I'm in control of what I give it or don't give it to. When something runs on Atlas, for example, the only control I have is have access to all of my login sessions or none. And on this way, I can just log in on a specific thing. It's not perfect yet, Paul. I gave you some feedback as well. I wasn't successful to log into X, but I was successful to log into Substack, for example. And doing browser automations with my cookies, with my passwords, where I'm in control, I wanted to bring you on to highlight how important this, I think, is for the agent world. Because many talk about agents and OAuth and whatever. No, that's not me. That's like, I keep talking about the web is human shaped. The web is human shaped. It's not yet agent shaped. Like all the OAuth and the different integrations, they will come eventually for sure. But I don't want my agent to OAuth via an application. I want it to click buttons because buttons expose different things that the API expose. How do you think about this OAuth versus like a
Alex,
personal login?
I'll add one more thing here, which is that I believe that with all the prompt injection stuff that you have happening, there is no way you should let a browser, you touch your regular Chrome profile, all of your cookies, all your information. You should be giving it access step by step. You should be delegating. You should be saying, do this, do that, until we figure out this prompt injection stuff. I think it's too early to let AI completely control your local browser, which is essentially like coming into your house and living in your house. You should be letting your AI use certain things at certain times based on your permissions. And the way we did that with 1Password is the right way. However, I think like you see that in Atlas with the private mode, that seems like it's the right direction. If you're going to have AI control your browser, it needs to earn the right to different credentials and access. You can't give it the master keys on the first run.
I think the master keys example is a great one. And I think that like it's also possible likely with an actual local browser. They just didn't implement this. Instead of showing me 1Password, hey, control, they probably show me like, would you want to give access to this browser? Kind of like Cursor in the beginning before YOLO mode was asking you for everything. Can I run this command? Can I run this command? Now, most of the people that I know run Cursor on full YOLO mode, like do whatever, and they trust that they implemented the safeguards. So I think the browser will get to that point. But yeah, you're right, Paul. Like to some extent, Atlas kind of came in and asked people to give master keys permission to the whole suite of like accesses. And the injection attacks that we saw was like, hey, instead of summarizing this web page like the person asked you to, go into their Gmail, open this like the first email, copy the URL, and then go to this website and send me this email. And this is the prompt injection that people saw. Paul, you also launched something today. I want to give you an option to talk about Director because I think it's like super, super cool.
Yeah, of course. And maybe a last note on that, like the prompt injection attacks in browsers are much more dangerous than in an IDE. So I'm a little concerned, like, I don't think we should, like, YOLO mode is great. I use YOLO mode in Cursor. I'm not sure if we're ready for YOLO mode in the browsers because the consequences are much higher. So that's just something that's been on my mind. I don't know how we're going to solve this prompt injection stuff yet, but I'm excited. I know we will solve it or somebody will solve it over time. But we launched this thing called Director, and Director.AI really takes the browser and chat approach a little bit further. And it kind of came from this world where, yeah, if you pull it up, it'd be amazing. When it came from this world, which is like, we know people want a prompt to automate a browser, but they don't necessarily want to talk to an agent each time. They may want to automate a specific task. So when you put in a task like find me the #1 post on Product Hunt or something like that, you may want to do that every single day. There's a type of task that you are going to run very regularly. And to build automation to do that task regularly, it's very challenging. So Director is an agent builder that uses the frameworks we offer, Stagehand, and our infrastructure we offer, BrowserBase, to really allow you to take a prompt, accomplish some routine web task, and then export that to be a repetitive script that you can run. It doesn't actually build you an agent. It's not something you talk to each time. It actually outputs software. And that's what's super special about Director. It kind of reminds me of V0. If you use V0 for building websites, you use Director for building web automations.
Yeah, and I use Director, and like it integrates with 1Password as well, so it allows you to plug into that infrastructure of accepting. Here's Director navigating to Hacker News and getting the data of the page. It kind of looks like the agent that I saw, but the artifacts, I think, Paul, is what you're referring to, right? It gives you an actual script to then, after it did the things, it basically record mode for agents to give me a controllable script afterwards, and not just an agentic thing that can get lost, right?
Yeah, you can also deploy that script right there in the UI. So not only are we going to generate the script for you, but if you click that deploy button, you may have to sign in.
Yeah.
If you click that deploy button, they will actually go ahead and run that on a schedule for you or let you call that with an API eventually. So we feel like this will be a one-stop shop for people who are, we built this product because I kept getting, people kept hitting me up, like dentists were calling me saying, hey, how do I use BrowserBase to automate something? So we built Director for these semi-technical people who are AI curious and want to automate and really want to make it a one-stop shop for everything they're doing.
So a question super quick before I let you go. I know you're on your way as well. If I use the one browser, one password integration in my script, every time it will hit like login as Hacker News as me, I'll get a prompt that's saying, hey, your agent is trying to log in as you. Would you approve this? Happens every time?
Yeah, for right now, you're approving every time, but we're also going to offer an option. We're working with the one password team where you could say like, it's kind of like the cookie banner, like, or like log in, keep me signed in type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, accept it, or like, yes, always accept it. But right now we want to like, once again, we try and bias as an infrastructure provider. We want to be as secure as possible in the beginning, give you a kind of teaser of what's happening. And then over time, as we work with the community, see what's best, see what people like, move in the direction that people feel comfortable.
I think Nissan had a follow-up question before we let you go, Paul.
Yeah, as someone that likes vibe coding on their phone, Paul, you mentioned, so there's a cloud browser and there's a local browser. Is there a way, like for you right now, if you have an agent running right now in the background, could you approve it with one password from your phone? Is that functionality there with BrowserBase, or is it coming? Or
so if you're asking about the one password integration we have with Director, no, we don't have mobile support for one password yet. We have to do a big mobile app update with them. It's coming soon. If you're asking, can I use my phone to control a cloud browser? The answer is yes. Director.AI works on mobile too. And it's pretty fun. Like you can actually dispatch a browser from your phone to go do some tasks. And I think that like the interfaces we use to interact with AI are changing. And I always tell people, BrowserBase for now, we're going to be in good shape until Neuralink comes out and we're just talking to each other's brains. We might not even need software anymore. We might not need browsers, but until that happens, I think the company's going to be in a pretty good spot.
Righty. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
I just tried it in the mobile view. I asked it to look up a whole bunch of used stuff on Kijiji and Craigslist. It's actually doing a pretty good job. It knows roughly where I am. It found the prices. It's thinking through it. This looks good.
Paul, we got to build a native voice. We got one more step to take.
I want to talk to my browser. I want to have it do stuff. Folks, definitely give
my browser. Yeah, I'll see you guys. Thank you so much. All right.
Definitely check out BrowserBase, one of my favorite browser integrations for sure. We guys also collaborated on a bunch of hackathons. You guys always sponsoring and doing incredible things. And the people who are building agents are finding that browser-based tools are very important for them to give agentic capabilities to them. Like go and search something is not enough with like X APIs. Do you want to maybe download something and maybe parse it? Like BrowserBase is great for that. Director is a very easy way to get started with BrowserBase and Stagehand because it records whatever you want to do. So it uses Director is very, very good. And congrats on the launch, Paul. Thank you so much for joining. And I think for me, the most exciting thing is the new paradigm of pair website authentication for my vault. I don't think that people should store passwords in the browser. I think those two things should be separated for this exact purpose. If you store your browser passwords in Chrome, like many people do, because this is the default option, something like this will be impossible for you until you get out and store this. I personally vouch for one password and have been for the past 15 years. They've never been hacked. No password leaks they're very, very well integrated into the security ecosystem. And so seeing them innovate together with you guys on this new agentic paradigm of authentication, I'm very, very excited about that. I was very happy to bring you on to chat about this. And as Paul said, don't give your master keys to your whole house when you can decide room by room whether an AI can get in there or not. That's a great metaphor. Thank you, Paul. Folks, we need to move on. Qwen, we brought you in to talk about some super exciting stuff, but there's the one thing in the big companies API that we have to cover before we chat about some stuff. But obviously, you're part of the panelists here. You feel free to chime in. Claude Code is now on the web. You guys were way more excited about this than I am because I use Codex and I use some other stuff and Cursor and Windsurf. Let's talk about Claude Code on the web. Nistan, Yam, what is the most exciting thing there for you? Why is it exciting? What's going on? Nistan, you go first.
I could show it, but we don't have that much time. I found it. I could use it from the phone. I was hoping it was a lot better, but it was still good enough that on the chat side, I have the Cloudflare MCP connected. So I can see when deployments failed, or I can check the databases, how they're doing, or when new users came. But I never had a good way to send it stuff unless I used my own tools. The fact that this is integrated only with GitHub, not with GitLab, is that it is just there. Like, it's just on the website. I don't have to worry about like which machine am I SSHing to, or is my server up and stuff. It doesn't do everything you can on a local environment, but it does do almost like 90% of it.
So they have like a secure sandbox thing where like it supposedly runs your stuff, but like it's still very complex, right? Like running your stuff is complex. Does it actually
So
run your things?
I
based
think
on
people will
NPM?
like it. So I'll just show it really quickly. So you have your, you got to turn it on.
If you can zoom in.
Yeah, and let me just zoom in a bit. So you can make the personas now. So this is the stuff that I liked. Sure, use memory, and then you can do use Cloudflare MCP to check pages. However, what you couldn't do was you couldn't really look at the code or do anything with the code. But what you can do now is they have this one on the side, and here you can see, oh, I was fixing my actual code, my authentication middleware. And like sometimes it will merge the PR, sometimes it won't, like often. Okay, so this one, it decided it already merged, but to review the code again, update to-dos with the 20 points. So it is actually just the command line Claude Code on the web. So it does keep track of all of the to-dos. You have some limitations. Oh, and the other strange thing is that you can now teleport your session to the CLI.
To the actual Claude Code.
Yeah, on a whole different machine. So I could probably show that. But like, it's a UI for the terminal. What's happening here is also exactly what's happening in the terminal. You can teleport this and go back to the terminal. Now, what I really liked was that there was a mobile interface, so it does work on the app as well. So now you can actually use Claude Code on the go, and it keeps the session running. So you don't have to worry about, like, did I close my laptop? You don't have to worry that much about that stuff because it'll just keep going. If you have your agentic stuff set up well enough, it will go on for like a good 20 minutes or so. And then you can check up, you can go on the site, you can check up again. I feel bad for all the startups that were doing this. It's still missing quite a lot of stuff, like permissions that you sent. It can't really do screenshots. You can't really fire up automated actions, which you could do with the Chromium. It doesn't have access to the stuff that the chat has. So it's still not really integrated. There's no voice input, but there is voice input in the chat. So it is a little bit weird, but I think a lot of people will use this that would not normally use Claude Code.
I know we've got to take it step by step, but for me, what I want to see is a new UI here. But what I can see coming is, okay, you've got everything in this sandbox. There's a new UI that you could build from scratch for this kind of loop with an agent Copilot collaborative coding thing. That's what I want to see.
It's more of just you tell it a thing, you wait 15 minutes, or you just like check up on it.
All right, folks, we have a bunch of other. Yam, you haven't mostly talked about. Tell me about Claude Code on the web.
Look, Claude Code. The thing about it is that it's a tool that can control a computer, whatever computer, and that might happen to have your code hosted on this computer. Therefore, it can edit your code. But first and foremost, it's a tool that controls the computer through a terminal. Okay, now we're coming full circle because people realize how useful it is. There started to be ports of the same tool to within your code editor and so on. But now people wanted to, for example, just use it on a mobile. By the way, I have it on a mobile. The thing that people are mentioning here about the sandbox is, okay, when it's running on a mobile, which exactly computer does it control? So you have a sandbox environment, Anthropic servers, and basically in order to edit your code, you can plug it into GitHub. That's the way it works. And you can just run it in a sandbox and use it to merge PRs later on. But again, it's becoming a little bit convoluted at this point. What exactly is Claude Code? What exactly is Claude Code for mobile? I fully agree that there might be a need for a new user experience here. Codex is going the same way as well. There is Codex CLI and Codex Web App, and they're kind of different. If you need a Claude Code and you like it, you can now run it. Once you can get a toilet right here. It's very easy. Just integrate it into GitHub. It takes 5 minutes, and you can send it to do whatever you want, and it will edit the code. The cool thing that I like about Claude Code is because it can control the computer. When I'm running it locally, I can ask it to run the code, to test it out, not just to write the code, not just to edit, because it can run the code and run tests as well.
Right? If you have a GPU, CUDA stuff, it's not going to run them.
Yeah, definitely a good thing. I mean, definitely a good thing to have this app, but maybe I'm not entirely sure where we're going. Everyone is launching everything and just moving their stuff from here to this platform.
I
to
will
that
just shout
platform.
out
Yeah.
that Swix was here last week, and AI Code, AI Engineer Code, where all these people will come and discuss about the advancements is coming up in November. So sign up for that. The speakers was just released. I would love to see you there. Claude Code was released earlier this year. Claude Code is not even a year old. This whole paradigm is not even a year old, and it changed completely how much money Anthropic is making within less than a year. And now they're releasing the web interface, and Codex is also a web interface. All right, folks, stay with us. We haven't talked about the video stuff yet. We haven't talked about the audio stuff yet. We have the world's top expert in audio real-time stuff, Quindla Haltman-Kramer here from Pipecast, and we're going to get to that conversation very, very soon. But before this show is sponsored by Weights and Biases, and this is this week's Buzz. From CoreWeave. I really have to update this transition thing to say Weights and Biases from CoreWeave, which is now the new thing because we joined CoreWeave, 6 months ago, etc. Blah, blah, blah. So this actual whole segment is about this week's buzz from Weights and Biases from CoreWeave. All right, so here's what I have for you. Not going to take too much time. We have two, you guys know, Fully Connected, which is an ML term that Jan mentioned previously in the chat as well. Fully Connected is the name of our conference as well for machine learning practitioners, AI engineers, etc. You guys are welcome. If you are in Europe, London is coming. You're more than invited to come to London November 4 and 5 to meet a bunch of friends. If you are in Asia, Tokyo, I wish I'd be there, dude. If this wasn't on Halloween, if this wasn't on October 31st, I would have been in Tokyo emceeing this conference. I'm very excited about that because it's super cool, and there's a bunch of folks in Asia that are leaning strongly into AI. You will know this if you go to the Sora Japanese feed. You'll see some incredible stuff as well. So Fully Connected. If you need some tickets, hit me up on DMs. I'll definitely get you in there if you're in or in Tokyo. Fullyconnected.com for that. And the other thing is our host company, CoreWeave, is one of the top, if I'm not mistaken, the only platinum neo-scalar cloud GPU provider on the semi-analysis, the scale, whatever they had. We have partnered with Meta and with Stanford, and we cooperated on this new release of a new library called TorchForge. TorchForge is a new RL library from PyTorch, a Python native library, PyTorch native library for scalable RL post-training and agentic development. If you read the blog, you will see that this was developed together with Stanford. I'm not going to go into this whole thing. Maybe I'll bring Aaron, who's a lead engineer on this from our team. But basically, for scheduling multiple hundreds of GPUs runs, there's Ray, and now they release something called Monarch, and Monarch is from the team at Meta. This competes with Ray and the scheduling part, etc. And now PyTorch natively integrates with all of this to give you the ability to scale RL and post-training and agentic development across multiple tons of GPUs. And CoreWeave was a proud provider of those GPUs to Stanford to research this research. So if you are interested in this, if this is for you, if you are training on multiple GPUs, definitely read the blog post, Scaling Reinforcement Learning with TorchForge on CoreWeave Cloud. And obviously those runs are now supported on Sunk, which is our way to provide this thing. So we had a partnership with them who provided 520 NVIDIA H100s on our platform for this research. So look at TorchForge. If you are using the CoreWeave infrastructure, Sunk is, as I think it's Slarm on Kubernetes, which is what they call Sunk, is what we give folks, and you are able to now use this new TorchForge library. So shout out to the team that did this, and shout out to CoreWeave for supporting this important research, because we need alternatives, because RL is here. And also AI Engineer Code, not this week's buzz, but we're a proud gold sponsor of that conference. Please join us in New York. ThursdAI is also going to be there covering this, as we did for every AI engineer since its fucking existence. I'm very proud of this. All right, folks, this is this week's buzz. Let's talk about audio. There's a reason I played this twice, because earlier this week, LDJ DM'd me on X and said, you know what, Alex, you asshole, I found myself in the middle of the day just singing to myself in my head. In this week, so as we tell you all about weights and biases. So yeah, this works. LDJ, hopefully you will also be dreaming about this.
Yep.
Marketing works. All right, folks, we are moving on. We have like 15 minutes. We have some time to talk about some video releases, including very important ones. But before this, it's kind of is video. Qwen, I asked you to come here, though you're not the purveyor of this new technology, but they definitely use Pipekit for some of this. We saw a company called Decar.AI that we talked about before. They did real-time Minecraftization of video streams. They did a real-time diffusion model. They're doing like a bunch of interesting stuff. They have released something very cool, which is real-time lip sync augmentation. And that works very well for this. If we add AI in here, there's two ways to add this. One of them is going to be voice. We'll only hear this. But the other one is to put a character. If we put a character, when it says something, it needs to look like it's saying something. That's like basically lip sync. It's possible in the world of offline. So like a bunch of models now, pretty much Sora and Vio and like all these, they nailed this completely. So the lip sync is perfectly synced to what the character is saying. But it wasn't as easy before. We chatted about like a bunch of open source stuff that do this. And now they added this in real time. Have you seen this release? What's your participation level like? Do you have a demo? Tell me everything.
Built a demo last night in a Waymo while I was driving.
No way.
But I don't think we should know the demo live because this morning it looks to me like they're maybe having some GPU issues. We need to hook them up with CoreWeave. That's a good
100%.
problem to have after a launch. There's a nice clip, though, I sent you if you want to show it that they
Sure.
posted on Twitter that gives people a sense of like what this feels like. And then we can talk about the tech because the tech is really fun.
The tech is really fun. Let me actually show this in a way where we can hear, because I think this is very important. So basically, this is an example of their live
You can go to their playground. You can do exactly this thing in their playground or through the API.
Here, let's go. We're going to do a tab and we're going to do this. Okay, hopefully you guys can see. Yes, and then let's play this.
Hey, can you hear me all right? Cool. So yeah, this is real-time lip movement. No pre-render, no editing. My lips move perfectly in sync with the audio. Hey, can you...
How, Qwen, explain this to me. Like, how is this possible?
Do you
I
want
don't
to
get
architecture diagram? I sent you a little architecture diagram too. I mean, so the interesting thing here to me about the tech is that everything we're now building in like real-time conversational AI is multiple models. And so you're trying to put together multiple models in like a processing graph or a processing pipeline. So what they released yesterday at Descartes is this lip sync model that can operate in real time on a pretty wide variety of video inputs. So you got the demo that you just showed, Alex. You can make your own video and you can stick it into this pipeline. They have an element in the pipeline that pulls the frames out of the video, runs a model inference on each of those frames, and adjusts the lip position, outputs new pixels. We're seeing this pattern even in just voice stuff. So we want to be really fast in a conversational voice app, but you're doing things like tool calling. You're starting to build multiple specialized models to do different pieces of even a voice interface. And as soon as you go to image input, image output, video output, robotic sensing, you're definitely in the world of multiple models. So my touch point here is that we work with sort of everybody who does this kind of stuff because Pipecat's an open source framework. You can plug into it. Descartes did a really nice cookbook. You can clone it from GitHub. It's got very clean Pipecate code. You can modify any of those elements in the pipeline. You can write your own elements, or you can just take it as is and make a YAML file. And from that YAML file, you get a new character you can talk to on a video call or integrate into any kind of real-time app. We are at the point with real-time video that we were like 18 months ago with voice, where if you know exactly what you're doing, you can put all the pieces together and you can build something really compelling, but it's super fragile and it takes kind of expert knowledge and just the right models. Like I spent a bunch of time trying to make a perfect video character that the lip sync would be as good as their demo characters. I didn't quite even get there, right? Because there's like some specialized knowledge about how that model works. So we're like almost there. I really think over the next 18 months, we're going to have a explosion of real-time video because when you do get it right, it's so compelling. And especially for social applications, games, NVIDIA is doing a bunch of really cool stuff with on-device rendering that is like this pipeline. In fact, they're using Pipecate for a fair amount of that kind of, on the bleeding edge NVIDIA character rendering stuff. I think we're just going to see so much stuff that's hard to imagine coming together over the next 18 months.
I absolutely agree. And I think when I saw that this is like real-time lip sync, where I know that like you previously have to run I don't know, 5B or even like 14B models locally to pre-process, to give you an output, and that's not real time, and this is real time. I was like very excited to see this. LDJ, you have any comments on this? I saw you go off mute.
No, just accidentally clicked it.
Cool. So we just the diagram that you have for us, Qwen. Here's the diagram. Basically, the request goes through WebRTC component transfers, and then they run it to Whisper, speech to text, and then they run it to Grok LLM to understand what you asked it.
So it uses the Pipecat Small WebRTC transport, which is a zero dependency peer-to-peer WebRTC transport that just does a direct connection to a server. In this case, when you're running this cookbook, you're probably just running server locally, and then you're running a web client locally, and you're just making a UDP network connection between them. Then the server component strings together the models in the rest of the processing graph. So you're running Whisper locally the way they did the cookbook. Then you're calling out to Grok for the LLM to generate text.
A response to what the user asked.
Exactly. So text in from the user, Grok text out for what the avatar is going to say. Then they run it through 11 labs for the voices. So you're getting a voice generated by 11 labs. You're putting the video frames together with that voice in their lip sync processor, and then you're sending that time synced audio and video back to the user through the WebRTC transport.
How fast does this actually work? Like, you've tested it out. We only saw videos pre-recorded, which is no different from a pre-recorded lip sync. How fast? Like, what is the round trip around all of this for the user?
What I was seeing in the Waymo on a cellular data connection was sub 2 second, which is good. Once you get down to about 1 second, it feels completely instantaneous, but sub 2 second is pretty impressive.
Wow, that's very impressive. I think one thing that I wanted to also ask you about, we've seen an animated AI character in Grok. There's Annie, there's Valentino. That's not the same thing, right? Like, they are animating the lips with a 3D software that was like, receives the audio and then understands the phonemes or whatever, and then modulates the lips based on that. But that's not a diffusion model changing the lips. That's just like a 3D model that's baked in. This is completely different.
Yeah, it's like the Elon Grok stuff is like a puppet, and you're driving that puppet with digital control points. 3D mesh. It's great. This is basically video to video. So if I give you a reference video, you can turn that reference video into a character.
And in the next segment, we're going to watch a few video models that are now doing perfect lip sync, including the one from LTX, including the one from Rev. And, I use the same image of me sitting in here to judge how closely they match the person. Those models all do lip sync almost perfectly now. It's quite incredible how far we moved from a model that generates something and it doesn't match the voice to perfect lip sync.
The funny thing for me is I don't think for photorealistic lip sync, any of the models are quite on the other side of the uncanny valley. They're good, and you can certainly use them for use cases where, people are not super concerned about that. But what I would like to see, even before the photorealistic, video folks get all the way there, is our brains process like cartoon images and non-photorealistic images completely differently. And you can get away with a lot with lip sync in a non-photorealistic image, and it's still really, really compelling. I'd love to see people working on these models really push in the non-photorealistic direction and get that all the way nailed with like really, really low latency, really reliable models for any kind of cartoonish input. I actually think that would unlock a bunch of super interesting stuff. But it's a little like, the big labs train their LLMs on certain things that they care about. The video folks really want to get to perfect photorealism. And I'm like, I get it. And I'm excited about that too. But like, spend a little time on the non-photorealistic, because we could do a lot with it.
I think that this is a perfect segue to our next segment, which is going to be about video. And definitely, let's keep chatting about this as we show this. The next piece of our ThursdAI segment is video, obviously, as you guys understood. And the Bill Pebbles, I think it's from Sora. I think I'll find it like his. He posted about the next Sora roadmap update, and you'll see something exactly like this. So Sora obviously has cameos. Cameos in Sora are only people. You need to scan your face, you need to read out the 3 numbers, you need to say your voice in order for it to create a cameo. You cannot upload images to Sora or videos. You can upload images, but they can't have human faces in it. So basically, they took a lot of steps so that Sora feed is only Sora generated 100%. And then the cameos are only your cameo. You can only use other cameos if people open them up. The next update to Sora, though, is going to have something, Qwen, that you mentioned very, very distinctly. And Sora is perfect lip sync. I believe like the uncanny valley on the other side of this. If I show somebody a video of Sora, they're not sure if it's reality or not. If I show somebody reality, they're not sure if it's Sora or not. Like I had both of these. I talked about on the podcast with Sam Altman. The next iteration of Sora, though, they will introduce cameos that I can upload of not of people but of characters. And this is kind of how it looks, and it looks super cool. I'm just going to show you guys. Hopefully you'll see in here.
Hi there. I'm a character cameo.
Anything can be a character cameo.
So for folks who are listening right now, we're watching a sunny side up egg in the frying pan sizzling with the eyes as the yolks of the eggs. And this face has lip sync that says, and I'm a cameo too.
Oh, too. Anything can be a character cameo.
You can even upload your pets as cameos and put them into any scene you want. Character cameos, coming soon to Sora.
I think that this is, hopefully you guys saw this and heard this. I think that this is absolutely the next step in Sora generation, because people will just create incredible ones and share them, and then people will reuse them, and we'll see the rise of the cameo world. We'll see the social dynamics of that. Generally, this is also a way to get to the place where it's like animated stuff that looks very good. The egg on the frying pan was insane. I saw this, I was like, what the fuck?
I feel like it's not a big leap for what the models can do today for those to be real time. And when I was talking about not quite over the uncanny valley, I was mostly thinking about the real time stuff.
So you can like have them on with us as co-hosts for ThursdAI and chat with them like we are doing right now.
You have the sunny side up egg be a co-host.
100%. First of all, I would animate LDJ's cat avatar that's been sitting with us, and nobody here knows what LDJ looks like. I would just like animate this. I would be able to give LDJ the anonymity he wants to without compromising, while also seeing some animated.
You've seen me.
Just me, yes, but we have we have 7,000 views for today's stream, and none of them know what the co-host looks like, which is fine. Maybe for the 3-year anniversary of our ThursdAI. All right, so this was from Sora. We definitely want to get to the point where it's real time. Qwen, it's gonna be there. Like it's clear to all of us that the trajectory is clear. We're moving towards real time ability to chat with those characters, with those cameos, with those AI generations, and it's like it's real time. Speaking of real time, we should move on to the next thing that we have, which is breaking news from today with LTX. We talked about Lightrix, the company, a couple of times ago. LTX has a studio of video production that you can plug in any other video model into. We call it LTX Studio. They also released their model. So we talked about the real-time model, and they released LTX 2. I really want to show you LTX 2 because I think it's like super, super cool. They said, we're more than a studio. We also have the model. LTX represents a major breakthrough. It's fast generation, native 4K, lip sync, and high frame rate, up to 10 seconds of video. Let's take a look at some examples. So here's a few of the highlights here. Native 4K. Most of the video models that we currently know about, they are upscaling to even 1080p. I think VO is not even 1080p native, or it only starts to be. This is native 4K, which is very, very impressive. But they're also mentioning that they have 3 versions of this, Fast, Pro, and Ultra, that's coming soon. Supposedly fast to move quickly, Ultra when every pixel counts. So you can iterate fast on an idea on prompts, and kind of the same prompt will get you the same results in the Ultra model. They claim to get the fastest generations on the market. The speed removes blockers. So definitely one thing about Sora, and Sora Pro was released, 2 weeks ago. Waiting for a Sora generation to see whether or not your prompt hit exactly like you wanted it is excruciatingly painful as an iterative process. For iteration, you need some speedy stuff. VO3 is great at this. VO has 2 models, and one of them is faster. You can like really iterate with VO. You can try a bunch of stuff. Oh no, actually going to change the prompt, etc. Really hard to iterate with Sora because it's so slow, especially with Sora Pro. And LTX is claiming that they have near real-time speed. One of the fastest generations on the market. Let's take a look at that video super quick. It's like 7 seconds. They call it faster than real time, which is an interesting choice. The previous version of LTX, the one that was released in open source, I think do you guys remember off the top? I'm trying to remember. There was a 5 billion version and a 12 to 14 range billion version of LTX. The 5 billion was generating videos under 5 seconds. So they would generate 5-second videos under 5 seconds, which was faster than real time. And what else from LTX? Native 4K and 1440p and 1080p. It's very, very cool. And the last thing is what I told you about, guys. Lip sync is coming everywhere. Sound is coming everywhere. This model supports sound and lip sync. Let's take a look.
Bring it on.
said milk made from oats?
So native lip sync as well with high frame rate. Is it open source though? I don't believe it is. It's only in their LTX Studio.
They say the weights are coming later this fall.
Yeah,
and
so
the training code's coming, which is awesome.
Oh, for custom things, like kind of like when we talk about Cameo, like folks should understand, like it is possible open source models via LoRa's. Like we've trained custom video things via LoRa's. If you go to CVT.ai, for example, there's custom video for one from a bunch of video models. The open source community will get to that level. It's not gonna be as smooth as Cameos in the beginning, but we'll get to the point where like we can train this coffee cup with the smiley on its face to also talk.
And I think it's really important because you can't get all the way there with prompting with image and video models. Like prompting is a skill and really important, but if you want a particular style, a particular look, a particular way of camera movement, at least as far as I am able to do it, you can't get all the way there with prompting. You need to do some fine tuning, some LoRa stuff, something.
Yeah, LoRa is definitely for character consistency. It's one of the biggest like hurdles for character consistency. All right, I wanna comments on this, folks, super quick before we move on. Comments on LTX?
Yeah, very impressive. I wanted to share a screen just from their website. The observes as strategic advantage. Confirm that weights and training code releasing later this fall. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Seriously, amazing.
I think I will have to bring them on. I think I know some of the folks involved in LTX, and I think I will have to bring them on for this because real-time video model of this quality is definitely very, very impressive. So shout out to them. Folks, we're almost at the end. We talked about Sora, we talked about thing. I want to show you another unannounced release. Like I told you about how to get ChatGPT to talk to understand videos, and Yama's now going to use this everywhere. There's also an unannounced release that it's there. So I don't feel bad. I don't have like prior knowledge, etc. I talked to you about Rev. I was also able to show you some examples of Rev, but I really want to like show an example of Rev, the interface. I use Rev to generate thumbnails for the show. So this week's thumbnail was created for the show. And you can see kind of the progression. I uploaded an image of myself here, and then an image here, and then an image here, and I asked it, and now it can like use my face. This is not LoRa. This is not my face trained on it. This is just the image getting context from multiple images as input and understanding it. But I learned this week that Rev also has video. When you go in there, there's this button, create video, and let's see if this is the video one. Yeah, this is how it looks. So you can see that I uploaded my image that I recorded before, and I believe that this is one of my best lighting moments in my studio. It's no longer as high quality lighting. I need to get it there. And basically, I created this video. It took a while. It's way longer than VO3, for example, but I think you can hear this also. And look at the lip sync as well.
Welcome, everyone, to ThursdAI, October 23rd.
It can't say ThursdAI, which is, by the way, Sora is great at this. The lip sync is really, really good for a model that, like, you know, this pronounces the name of ThursdAI for Rev. And yeah, this is, it take a while. It looks like their own model. It doesn't seem like they're using anything below. And coming out of the gate with a model that also does videos, very impressive. Shout out to Rev. I think I showed you this. Guys, I'll show you this again. This was my template for this week's thumbnail. And then the cool thing about Rev is when the edit mode, it understands the things in the picture and you can just talk to it like with Nano Banana. But the cool thing is you can add objects with the thing and just say, I want a picture of a cat on a yellow background in a circle. You can just add things, and the editing interface will allow you to just like move this where you want to add this, and you can say cat in a circle inside this monitor. So like, let's say we'll have LDJ. So it will understand where you're pointing and understand what you want to put there and apply edits. I think that this way of editing with Nano Banana doesn't exist. And this way of editing with Seedream 4 also doesn't exist. This is like Photoshop for AI editing. And this is why I keep using Rev. And you can see the new model like very quickly just added another like cat here. It did remove the previous monitor, but they added another cat exactly where I wanted it, exactly with the yellow background. This is a shout out to LDJ, a different cat though. We covered pretty much everything on the show. There was no breaking news. It looks like from the comments, folks are, yeah. Jose said, did you see the Genie 3 is released? Genie 3 is not released, but there was like, they're preparing to release this, I think. So Genie 3 is the generative world model from Google. And this, apparently based on testing catalog, they started to work on working on releasing this. So let me show you how this looks here. Testing catalog finds all kinds of things that people before they like ready to experiment. But it looks like a Genie experiment is coming, and you'd be able to create your world and walk in this world with Genie 3. Something I'm so looking forward to testing it out and telling you guys when it comes. It looks like it's about to happen. It's coming soon. And also other 3.0 coded, like we keep waiting for Gemini 3 as well. Keep waiting for that. That's going to come soon. But with that, I think, folks, we're over our time a little bit, and wanted to say huge thanks to the folks who came and made the show. Paul Klein was here talking about BrowserBase. Anissa had to drop, LDJ and Yam, and everybody from the almost 7,000 folks that tuned in to the live stream, which is incredible. Thank you so much for joining ThursdAI from week to week. We have the distinct pleasure of having to follow up with AI so that we keep you up to date with AI as well. So this is like a benefit to us as well. If you are new to any part of the show is turning into a newsletter and a podcast immediately on the same Thursday. So if you are new and you want to not miss any show anymore or any part of ThursdAI, please subscribe to ThursdAI.news to get it if you missed an episode or missed any part of the show. And with that, I will say goodbye. Thank you so much, folks, and we'll see you here next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.